Oh, che siamo belle alla 19ª live.
Buhaioli, 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 benvenuti ancora una volta alla live degli LSC. Oggi continuiamo, purtroppo, The Great Ace Saturn Resolve.
Fammi impostare nella copertina, buhaioli, se no qui non se ne esce da punte perti.
Allora, via. Oggi c'ho voglia di fare questa voce di merda. Ma spero di non farla troppo, perché sennò già sono mezzo coglione di mio. Se poi metto a fa anche queste voci di cazzo, è la fine, gente, è la fine. Allora, copertina messa. Ora mettiamo la live come background sul computer, almeno se qualcuno c'ha da ridire qualche cosa, me lo vengi, me lo dici, lo stacco. Stacchi il capo. Ma senza indugio, continuiamo. Ci siamo interrotti proprio in modo bruschissimo, perché dove andare a lezione. Oh, successo, sì, Ryutaro, conosciuta anche come Susato, perché dato che le donne non possono entrare a corte ed è una che troiaio, c'è stato uno schifo assurdo. Dato che le donne non possono entrare a corte, Susato, tra parentesi, meno male, Susato si è dovuta creare, ciao Ganzo, si è dovuta creare questo personaggio di Ryutaro, che è un personaggio di merda. Quindi adesso Aoshi, che è qui coglione, come si chiama, buhaioli? Come si chiama? Del procuratore. La Aoshi, sarebbe il procuratore, ci sta spiegando il caso.
Oh yeah,
Thank you, counsel. A tragic image.
as you can clearly see, there is nowhere within the hut that anyone else could have bidden.
The court will accept this photographic print as evidence. The photograph of crime has been entered in the court record. As I understand it, then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at that time. This is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant. Ma va? Se no non sarebbe l'imputato, coglione.
Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to its case.
Punto esclamativo.
We intend to prove the accused appalling actions beyond the possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence.
Witness? But è vero, Ryutaro un po' fa la voce di Susato, perché se no dicono Fratus è una donna. Witness? But who? Puntini.
One of whom, I might add, is highly respected police detective.
No, ditemi che è qui Ganzo, quello che tossisce come lo schifo e non mi ricordo mai come si chiama.
I assure you the testimony of these witnesses will have no room of doubt.
Ugh. Very well then, counsel. Bring forth your witnesses.
Taketsuchi Ochi, I've been waiting for this moment.
Sorry?
Oh yes, I haven't forgotten. The trial of 9 months ago. Here in the
Ciao Ganzo.
In this very courthouse. What then, when that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me.
In 9 mesi si è fatto crescere di cose orribili. Non me ne ero accorto. Ryunoso e Naruto. Yes.
This insult to the Ochi family name will never be forgotten.
You've become conceited with age, counsel. But and old have to stand aside and make with the way to the new. For the new, non so leggere. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. Che pazzo. Ah, ecco come si è fatta. Mi ero dimenticato di sta scena, è vero. Bellissimo. Ganzissima sta cosa.
Struck the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut and has the bell of a cultural enlightenment also. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died.
The start of your own mind. Major revolution. Major revolution. Are you considering it as well, Council?
Silence! Since I swore revenge back then, there has been a minor miracle out of my head. Observe the ouchy growth.
Ma che... Ma non mi interessa, sinceramente. Non lo sto nemmeno a leggere perché fa schifo. I think that the tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where is the hoop exactly?
I said silence!
Che cringe.
Today I face another yokel student of the neighborhood clan. Well, I will vanquish you. And my victory will be fertilized. Will be fertilizer for the seed of a hope atop my head. You have been warned. With that, the persecution calls in the witness of the to the stand.
In sostanza, ragazzi, se ho cambiato voce perché mi sono ricordato adesso effettivamente Aoshi ha la voce a questa maniera. Prima l'ho fatta più alla McGilded. It looks like the skates are high on both sides in this trial. The persecution and the defense has much to lose. A haircut is hardly comparable to Ray's life. Ma non ci credo. No! Buhaioli! Che ve l'avevi riconosciuti tutte e due?
Witnesses, please state your names and occupation to the court. For the court.
No! Ozonaga, ecco mi si chiamava. Chief Inspector Satoru Ozonaga, Imperial Police Bureau. I'm in disguise, obviously, so I can go undetected. No! Soseki! È come si chiamava! No!
And I am, well...
com'è che l'avevo... Com'è che avevo fatto la sua voce? Non me lo ricordo minimamente, però... Vabbè, gliela fa così. And I, well... Big things in books, and an author renowned throughout the capital. In fact, yes. So, to be sold in the historical I Am a Cat, a sensational success by Sasaki Natsume. Oh my goodness. Struggling student from the provinces, please. You needn't to be up in awe for me. I needn't. It's only natural that you feel nervous in my presence. But all of you, please relax. Call me Sasaki, even. Yes. What on earth is Sasaki-san doing here? Me lo chiedo anch'io, cara Susie. Tread carefully, Sosato. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this will be over before it's begun. Yes, of course, I know. I presume that Sasaki-san won't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that has been since I last saw him. No, vabbè. C'è anche lì. No, ma questo gioco già si prospetta una figata. Wow.
And as for the Inspector Hosonaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe.
Do I have something on my face?
Well, your glasses for one. Although they don't seem to be helping, you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either.
I suppose it's this disguise, is it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. Is it my guiding principle to carry out all testimony flawlessly? Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. But what business did a writer such as yourself have been here at the Saint Soseki-san?
Well, you see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture. On the morning of the incident, the Imperial Yume University Grand Lecture Hall, no less. At Yume University? After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher for a medical science department. The professor over there, in fact. What? With my father? With Professor Mikotoba?
Yes, that's right. I was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about two former students who'd study in Great Britain.
Of course, being a renowned author, the press will never leave me alone.
Ma guarda, testa di cazzo è diventata Soseki.
Secretly spy snapshots, scribble stories and scupper my privacy. Ah,
Madonna, com'è carina Susato vestita da mask. Che cringe.
As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read it at your leisure, my provincial struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies. Thank you very much. You practically threw that paper at me.
The Soseki Natsume article has been entered in the Haut record.
Anyway, following an interview with the professor.
Aspetta un attimo perché si va a controllare. Ma è bellissima sta cosa. Ah, che figata. Che figa. Oh, sto gioco è cominciato e già mi garba un monte. Perché sembra che il primo non sia mai finito, forse.
Anyway, following the interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those were their words. As I explained before, Miss Pratt was never taken in custody. She continued to work in my laboratory, under strict surveillance, of course. At which assurance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Pratt to go as long as a detective accompanies her. The detective I'm at liberty to divulge was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga. Terribly, the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems. It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public for vicinity of the beach.
Ah, è vero, lui tossisce ed è ganzissimo per questo. But fortunately, I'm at peak physical fitness at the moment, so I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly. Oh, my inspector, you... Well, you don't have something on your face now? How unsightly. I do apologize. Does that mean
you went to the beach too, father?
No, no. Ah, ok, quindi quando parla al padre posso fare anche la voce normale. Per fortuna. No, no, fortunately, I had work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course. It meant that, as my assistant, Ray was invited to take my place. Of course. Being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation.
Ah, ma Ray buhaioli had.
È vero, questa mi ricordo che quando urlava faceva così.
I've never have seen that awful sight. Breathlessly, wrecked of my remorse and regret.
Bellissimo. Oh, play. No. Ci sono già stato ieri. Very well. I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give me the account of all that you witness on your impromptu excursion to the coast. Of course, Your Excellency. Breathlessly racked by remorse and regret, I am. Ole, witness. Testimony. Qui non credo che debba andare contro qualcosa, anche perché non ho prove essenzialmente. The day of the incident I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I just managed to catch the crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran into the beach at once, where I found the pair in question.
Yes! The young girl was astride the Wiglish woman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed it wildly.
Che cringe. I saw blood on the blade. It proved me that she'd stabbed the victim in multiple times. Ah, così poco. Buono, gli fa buono. Indeed, it does appear from this testimony that both witnesses have presented to saw it. The very moment of this heinous crime. What?
No, if you will recall, they promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again, huh? Yes, that was it. Damning evidence.
What do you have here, Counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it? Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments, with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer. What?
Your Excellency, if you will cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more.
Ah, goodness me! Un bicchiere. Yes, the victim is clearly grasping something quite deliberately there in her hand. Dai, PlayStation, per favore. Stai zitto. O zitta, come meglio zitta, se dice di più il verbo al femminile. That's right, the fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency. The owner initials have been engraved into the ebonite barrel. R.M. Raymond Bummy. Oh, quando c'è qualcosa che suona con mami, c'è sempre un casino, anche se è membami. Però ci deve essere sempre dei casini quando c'è. Vedi? Togliamo la B, cosa c'è scritto? Mami, esatto. In altre parole c'è sempre un troiaio quando ci va di mezzo mami. Che schifo. The initials of the defendant.
Ah, no.
Ooh. This fountain pen will be admitted immediately as a critical evidence. Enter the court record.
So, have I omitted anything? The self-testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel.
È arrivato il momento di esami. Non posso... Fra! Ma non posso esaminare la penna, perché? Perché non mi fa esaminare la penna?
I don't understand. The prosecutor Ochi of 9 months ago had known of this man twice.
Ma di sicuro Aoshi in qualche modo una mano ce la darà. Perché? Perché Aoshi. Ah no. No, volevo dire Osunaga, non Oshi. Perché ho detto vabbè. In qualche modo comunque Osunaga ci aiuterà. Counsel for the defense. You may begin your cross-examination now. Naruhodo-san!
Naruhodo. That means... Oh, yes, me!
Is there another Naruhodo in my courtroom?
Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom.
Cousin Naruhodo. Cousin Rutaro, pull yourself together, please.
All right, I've seen countless times as a judicial assistant. Find inconsistencies in the witness testimonies to prove that they are lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do.
Vai, Susato!
Ta 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 ta.
Vabbè, questo l'ho bello letto, non lo sto a rileggere.
Hold it! Hold it! Hold it! Hold it! Hold it!
Oi, oi. Is that John the Disguised? Correct. Wait, no! I mean, I wasn't the first time I've won the swimsuit for a dip in the ocean. I tried and tested. Do what must be done to keep the English woman under surveillance. Those were my orders that day.
And this tried and tested outfit was the answer.
Being able to blend flawlessly into crowd is an important part of a detective's job. Ma che fa? I submerged myself in the salty water, leaving only my Mr. Turtle floating inconspicuously on the surface. Mr. Turtle loves the water.
But there was no need for you to blend into the background on a segment, really, was there?
If that made you late arriving on the scene, I think you perhaps had your priorities wrong.
Perhaps I shouldn't pursue this line of questioning any further at the moment.
Aspetta, ora c'è. Hold it!
Hold it!
Hold it! Che schifo! Che schifo! Hold it! Ma si può mettere l'audio in giapponese? No, non c'è l'audio in giapponese. Che è questo story mode? Che è questa roba? Turn on this enable the story mode in place of autoplay, allowing you to progress through the game automatically without having the answers to questions, presentation, evidence are all handed on your behalf. No, che schifo. Ma il bello di sto giorno è perché perdi. Ah, so you're describing the victim's scream, presumably, so Saki-san? In more literary terms, you might say it was a scream that could have pierced into the heavens. Yeah! Or the like. Of course, that's just a metaphor. We renowned authors are once describing things so... Sasaki-san wasn't at all like this in England. È vero. Anyway, I spun around. The noise and the bait shot immediately fell under my gaze. Yes, the bait shot. Non so, mi dimentico sempre come fare la voce a questa dannata. The area is popular with the government ministers. Many have seaside retreats there for rest and recuperation. Bada bellino. Locals are prohibited from entering the area, so it's always very quiet. Beach hut is a simple structure. Erected as a place for people to change or take refuge from the sun. Although the English woman commandeered the hut for herself, which meant that I was forced to change into my swimsuit on the sand. I imagine that was rather embarrassing for you. Well, anyway, I tossed the crab aside and held for the beach and at a run. Or, in more literal terms, I stuck crab in the battle of fat twice. Blah blah. Ah no, comunque era una mia impressione, ce ne sono sempre 5. Hold it! Wait, Pa, you don't mean to say, but how could that be? No, you misunderstand. Obviously, I meant the victim and the defendant, Raymond Bami-san. Oh, it would have been helpful if you could have just said that from the outset. If you jump to conclusion, you have to accept to fall flat on your face sometimes.
Dear me, pinning your hopes on such outside chance. Foolish, very foolish.
It really was an outside chance. I wish I'd realized that before as I said something silly. Che carina Susato.
So, Inspector, why don't tell to the court how exactly you found the aforementioned the hut?
Well, it was a sorry sight. A really grisly scene. I parted the northern curtain hanging in the doorway and stepped aside, only to see... No, non posso spostarmi tra i tizi, come nel primo gioco, per ora. The defendant leaning menacingly over the lifeless body of the victim sprawled on the sand. Poverino. My glasses very nearly cracked at the stavo per leggere Omnibus, perché qui guarda l'Omnibus mi ha fatto un pazzi. Ominous sight that met my eyes.
Utterly appalling.
He doesn't appear to be lying here. Well, Sasaki-san, can you confirm what Inspector Hasanagi is saying, I wonder? You'd like a literally man's opinion?
Yes!
The young girl lost stride! Ah. Già, è vero, l'avevo già letto. Shh. Stop it, Whiteley. You actually saw her do it? Oh, indeed. The terrible spectre, terrible inspector, the bloody torrent, the outer torment. Eek! Every sight and every sound is carved in my melancholy memory. That was my impression, at least, as a future literary sensation.
Castle! What on earth was that shrill, effeminate scream?
No. What are you insinuating? It's just a manly Japanese man as you. I wonder if I might interject here, Sasaki-san. Sometimes you said he's troubling me. That was my impression. Were your words just now, believe? Do you mean to say you're not confident that you really see what you've described? Fra, non ti girare.
No! I mean, yes! I know what I saw! My ears didn't deceive me when I heard the scream. Hence, my eyes didn't deceive me either. I could describe everything I saw vividly. I could publish it all in tomorrow's newspaper serial. It sounds as though, as the next testament, I am a cat, might take a macabre turn.
I think it's a full errand. The more we press your outer friend on what he saw, the more intercede he's going to become. Oh dear, how awkward. I saw blood on the blade. It proved a porca. She was stabbed multiple times? How can you be so sure of that? Very simply. From the blood on the blade. The blood? When I entered the hut, I saw the defendant holding the blade raised up in the air.
Yes, that's right. I saw it too.
Oh. And I noted that there were blood on the blade already at the point. In other words, the victim had already been stabbed at least once, by the time I arrived on the scene.
Yes, that's right. I saw it too.
And the victim was already holding the defendant's fountain pen in her hand too. All of which means I can be sure the victim did not die instantly.
Yes, right, so it too.
Maybe a real London was too much for him. He sounds like he's forgetting how to speak Japanese. The logic of your argument is sound at least. Well, I said it's my guiding principle to carry out the testimonies flawlessly. Perhaps it should have been your guiding principle to protect the victim flawlessly. That's just my personal opinion, of course. Poi un giorno capirò perché questo vino fa altro e tossire. Counsel! You will refrain from the mocking the witness. Oh no, I just have so many thoughts whirling around my head. It's all I can do to stand here, wide-eyed and mute. Goodness, my dear. You really must try to calm down. But how am I supposed to find an inconsistency in what these two gentlemen are saying? I don't see either of them would have any reason to lie. What you must remember, I think, is that the witnesses may have inadvertently lie at times. For various reasons, a misunderstanding, a mistaken observation, a delusion, even. A delusion. Ah, a delusion. L'ha detto lei, vabbè. What's important is that we determine the truth. And there's only one way to do that. Yes, with evidence, of course. Spoken like a true judicial assistant. During witness's testimony, you can use R1 to pick up ears, vabbè. So you need to listen carefully to each statement and compare what's said to the details in the court record. As you find some conflicting then cosa sì you're looking for. Yes, it's all about inconsistencies. Once you have identified a witness's testimony, Ma ho appena notato un errore madornale, ragazzi. Guardate. Vabbè, è abbastanza semplice, C'è witness apostrofo S. Ed è un errore come per dire io ho senza H. Io ho avuto senza H. È orribile. Present the evidence with triangolo. Io queste cose le odio dei videogiochi. Quando da un gioco, cioè quando parla nel gioco devono sfondare la quarta parete per spiegarti i comandi. Yes, alright then. I consider the details of all evidence that occurred to find an inconsistency. I hope I'm up to the task. Don't forget about that you can have the witness to repeat each statement as many times as you like. Everyone has to start at the big beginning, remember? So those wide eyes are quite forgivable. And besides, there is no one else to defend the poor girl. You're right. I need to listen to the testimony again from the start. Vai, via. Ma ora volendo non posso esaminarlo. Porca Eva. Ok. I just managed to catch a crab suddenly. Vediamo un po' ci abbiamo. Aspetta, questo qui che fa? Was a stride English woman, the green hand. Ok. Ma allora, io cos'è questo? Se sei... Vabbè, questo non c'entra. Per ora non c'entra, ma dopo... A photographic print of the scene taken by the police just after the incident occurred. The stab wound the victim is clearly visible. Ah, aspetta, perché ci abbiamo anche questo post mortem. Examination witness statements. Single dip from behind, piercing lung. Astride the English woman. Che che palle. Allora, secondo me è il fatto, il semplice fatto che Astride. Allora, non pensavo mi dovesse servire subito. Astride a cavalcioni. a cavalcioni. Immagini. Magari non mettetemi cose erotiche, grazie. Bene, ho capito com'è a cavalcioni. Ho sbagliato. Vai, via, si gode. Oh, che palle. Cioè, è una cazzata. Me ne sto rendendo conto. Però sono stupido e già non capisco. Porca troia. E fin qui. Aspetta, qua c'è che c'è scritto stabbed once. Single, vai, via.
Objection.
Objection. Puntini. Ok. In effetti sì, era veramente una cazzata in confronto a quanto sudore ho buttato in quel caso. Durato quante ore non lo so. È stato un vero fatto. With the accusatory cry that just welled up from the deep inside me, I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san have stood here in this bench, the skates have been very, very high indeed.
What's the meaning of this? Meaning both, Council?
I'd like the witness to clarify something to me. Who? What? Where? When? How? Not you, Sasaki-san. This query is directed at Inspector Ozunaga.
At me?
In your statement just now, you said that the victim was stabbed multiple times. Yes, that's right. As I said when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a mysterious murderous demon. And yet, that cannot be.
What? Go to the point then, please, Counsel.
Che figo, tiene tipo il libretto. In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only. In other words, Inspector Hosanaga's testimony is clearly flawed. And Taseki-san, me? He claimed to have seen Mamami-san throws of the stabbing the victim. Yes, I did.
Whiteley!
But both of you and the inspector confirmed at the same point. There were already blood on the knife that you saw the defendant holding.
Yes!
And it's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once, therefore there is no way there could have been blood in the knife if a single stabbing hasn't already occurred.
True!
Then what exactly is your contention, Counsel? Are you ever going to tell us? Yes, Your Excellency. There is only one logical conclusion. What Sasaki-san in fact saw was not the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment the defendant in fact withdrew the blade from the victim's body. That can't
be! Whee!
Excellent work, Susato. You exploded at them with an objection and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically. Eccolo lì! Dai, ci siamo. L'ho fatta abbastanza bene.
Well, this takes me back. Yes, it seemed to remember your cousin stage at the scene, much like us in this trial 9 months ago. A half-witted child with half-baked objection attempting to steal the show.
You're right. There were certain similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the persecution. Who has only alpha head of a hair.
Slender! My head is quite adequately dressed. In any case, all this takes of a standing, withdrawing, and multiple wounds. It makes not a jet of difference.
What? Why not? Oddio, me l'ho fatta ho sbagliato tantissimo.
Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged the deadly weapon into the victim was the fatal blow. And it was the moment just she had withdrawn the blade, ready for her next strike, that the witness saw. The knife was already tainted with blood because the accused had already stabbed at the victim.
La cosa buona è che Oshi c'è sempre e solo nei primi casi dei giochi, quindi si gode.
All you have successfully shown with your little display is that the monster's author is prone of the moments of extravagance.
Arg. I am in agreement with the persecution. And the defendant was, if the defendant was seen wittingly with the blade at all, is there sufficient grounds for her action to be viewed with suspicion? But what if she was withdrawing the blade?
Then we're back to where we started.
Sorry?
Consider this young jokel boy. If the student girl is innocent, as you claim, then why would she have peeled the blade from the victim? And with a demon's called blooded composure too. The persecution demands an explanation, and it better be good.
Why did Ray pull out the knife? Yes. Going for the jugular. Eh? Okay, jugular. What does father mean by that? Let the court hear answer, then, counsel. The truth is, I don't really know. But I have to come up with a pleasurable reason here, or we don't have a case. The reason why the defendant was pulled the knife blade out the victim's body. The defendant was sure so she could save her life. According to the post-mortem report, the victim's death was not instant. That's correct. It's though she would have remained conscious for a short while sustaining the injury.
Indeed, giving her time to take all this piece of evidence that clearly indicates her killer.
The point is, being a medical research assistant, Mambami-san was compelled
to act with face with a wounded victim. Instinctively, she pulled the blade out in attempt to save Miss Brett's life.
Puntini.
Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem this is the best we can accept from this young jackal.
Indeed.
Is it just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here?
Your Excellency, if I may. Speak, witness. I would like another opportunity to testify. In respect to the sleep's hot assertion just put forward by the Jackal Defense Council, I mean.
Slipshot?
Oddio buono che... Quante... Cosa? Slipshot. Trasanda... Ah, ok.
An excellent idea, Inspector. Our young jackal Hopful has a modicum of knowledge when it comes to the law, it seems. But in the matters of medicine, he appears to possess not one iota of common sense.
Beh, in effetti è vero, perché in teoria... Allora, in teoria, quando tipo... cioè tipo... Non sono nemmeno io, però da quello ho capito, giocando a giochi gialli, vedendo parecchie... Tipo magari... che cazzo ne so, Cobra 11, NCIS o cose simili. In genere quando tipo... c'è un coltello infilato, cose... che possono causare un'emorragia. In genere si tende a lasciare comunque... Oddio. Di sicuro non a rimuoverla, ma una roba di genere comunque.
Very well, Inspector. I will permit your request. You will testify again before the court. One on the subject of the Defense Council session. Yes, sir. I will do flawlessly. Ching Chang, witness testimony.
Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with the ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget the student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor.
Is what you said just true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from a wound really cause the wound to bleed heavily?
Ma buongiorno Susato o Riutaro. Non va a cagare, vai. Yes. Think on the weapon itself as a stopper in the wound that prevents excessive blood loss. Until a doctor is ready to provide the proper treatment, that slopper shouldn't be removed.
Oh, I see. That is why the jackals should stay on the farm. Even a quack from the obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Anyone who's given someone little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows it. Oh, well, I've never stabbed anyone, you see.
or pulled a blade of a wand, so... Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit.
Father, is it true what they're telling me?
Yes, it's basic remedial knowledge for medics. Ray would have been well aware of it. If she were claiming ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in my ways.
But then, why would Ray have done it? Could she have pulled out the knife in full knowledge? That would be a fatal for Miss Brett.
I don't know.
Ray never once mentioned asking about the knife to me. It seems almost impossible to believe, but could my friend actually have?
Eh? Susato!
Yes?
Pull yourself together. We mustn't lose sight of why we are here. Rondo. Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
However, I mustn't warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify the issue with the established facts, I will be moving you to my adjudication immediately afterwards.
I understand. Believing in your clients and fighting for their cause until the bitter end. I knew it would be hard, but I had no idea it would be this hard.
Grande. Meno male sei judicial assistant to the bench. Via cross-examination. Putting a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding.
You say doing it...
My pork.
You say doing it without thinking could be a problem. Does it mean that if you're used to due care and attention will be alright?
I wouldn't have thought this needed spelling out really, but... The blade is like a stopper in the wound. Remove it, and a serious hemorrhage will occur. In other words, a medic would need to present before any attempt was made to withdraw the blade. Doing it without thinking would be madness. Just can't do it.
Oh, well, thank you for such a thorough explanation.
You see, Counsel, when you act without thinking, it's the result of... The result is a bloodbath.
Mamma mia, che palle. Back to the witness testimony, please.
Hold it!
In that case, is there any obvious explanation here?
Which is?
Clearly, the defendant, Raymond Bamisan, does not possess any an ounce of sense.
What do you think about that, Professor Mikotoba? I'm not sure that you should be labeling your best friend as lacking in common sense.
Well, I thought it would be better than labeling her as a murderer.
I don't know, young people today. If that's friendship, I don't understand it.
Careful, Counsel. A lack of common sense can be a very dangerous thing. Va, guarda quante che Chad. Quando fa bam e poi fa bam e poi fa bam.
Oh dear, that recalled me rather badly.
Sì, perché sei imbecille, Susato. That's life, I'm afraid. A lesson everyone must learn. Hopefully, can see how That is really basic medical knowledge. Being involved in medical research, my son would have certainly have been aware of it. In other words, the victim. Hold it! Hold it! But the defendant had suddenly encountered somebody she knew, lying on the ground, bleeding to death. The sight could have shocked her delicate sensibilities, causing her to remove the blade inadvertently. I really don't think inadvertent actions can explain this. The woman is a medical research assistant. I can't imagine she would have been so irrationally. Oh, but irrational behavior is woman's prerogative, isn't it? Oh dear, you have a lot to learn about women. Detto da... Only a small-minded man could have been such bigoted views.
Oh dear, perhaps I'm letting my male persona take a hold a little too much.
Ha fatto bene, ha fatto bene. Well, I managed to convey the basics now. That should cover the medical side of the argument.
Hold it! Whatever the moment, it just isn't my son's nature to do something so awful.
But she had both motive and opportunity. That's very hard to argue against.
But you don't know the defendant. And you, counsel, do not appear to know the law.
Ma imbecille Susato. Yes, evidence is the only way to convince the court of your argument, not feelings.
With this fledgling defender, I would almost say I pity the accused. So do I.
Inspector, you will reiterate your point about the defendant's motive, please. Yes, Miss Brett was in many ways the sworn enemy of Membami's son. E mo dove lo trovo qualcosa per incalzarlo? Non ne ho più pallida idea.
Well, yes, that's true. Dr. Wilson's recognized Membami's son's talent and offered her position of assistant despite her being a woman. She was extremely grateful to him.
Yes, the Englishman appears to have been a very broad-minded individual. Dr. Wilson had no time outdated traditions. He met with opposition, of course, but he believed firmly in Membami's son's abilities. Clearly the defendant was in the man's debt, which only serves to prove my point.
This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in this testimony anywhere. If I knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Brett's like farther. I can't think of any way to explain why she did it.
Susato, it's at the times like this when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals.
The fundamentals?
Evidence is what contains in the courtroom, isn't it?
Of course, but I've been through the court record a dozen times already.
I think perhaps you're forgetting about something, though. You needn't to take the evidence at face value. You can and must examine. Porca troia. Buongiorno, alla buon'ora ci fanno analizzare le cose. Ah, ma sta roba, l'assalto pure. Examine, I know what to do. Come think of it. Perfetto, adesso posso esaminare? Sì. Ah, si esamina e si gode. Un attimo e si finisce qui di usare.
Come think of it. Cause Masamai and Naruto's son were always turning evidence over in their hands. Yes, I need to examine things with X.
Ma porca. Oddio mio! Così sembra davvero un uomo, ragazzi. Oddio, che ganza.
If we take the pen's lid.
Che cazzo c'è da vedere? È una penna alla fine.
Now let's unscrew the barrel, shall we?
Ah, perfetto. Ah,
this must be a literal reverse sire that holds the ink.
Yes, you will fill the drawing ink from the bottle up through the nip.
Is something wrong, Father?
Just that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all.
Oh yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose.
E sti cazzi. Perfetto! Ah, posso anche esaminare il giornale. Se in questo gioco mi fanno esaminare anche le foto. No. Peccato. Sarebbe stato bellino poter esaminare in questo gioco, come in tutti i giochi di Ace Attorney, tranne questi, le foto.
This is the newspaper from Saseki-san. There seemed to be an important article on the back page as well. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from the Yumei Medical Research Laboratory. From Yumei's Medical Research. Father, isn't that your lab?
What the? Let me see that. The poison's been stolen?
It's that morning paper that Saseki-san gave us. Are we saying you didn't know?
It's embarrassing that for the head of the laboratory I didn't. I have not heard any such thing. Where on earth could a reporter have been gleaned this information?
Come think of it. There was no article mentioning the story in our paper this morning, was there?
It's highly toxic poison. We've been working on the strictest confidence. I'd put Ray in charge of the project.
Ray! She was managing it?
If what's written is true, it means she tried to hide the theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow.
I don't believe it.
We need to read this article very carefully.
Ok, interessante. Boh, gli fa buono.
Fresh in England returns tell all. This is the interview with you and Seki-san, is it, Father? It looks as though it was quite an exchange.
Yes. A little over-animated when he was talking about his time in England. The photographer managed to capture the moment in his hand karate or chopped me on the neck.
I'd hope you weren't hurt.
Perfetto, roba inutile. Ah, vediamo un po' se c'è da esaminare qualcos'altro. Ah già, le iniziali per Dincibacco, quelle non le ho analizzate.
The initials are very engraved here.
And the fact that Miss Brett
was cleaning this pen in her dying moment is very clearly a message too.
To identify our killer, you mean?
I don't think there can be any doubt. That is a key piece of evidence in this case. Ok, gli fa buono. By the look in your eyes, I see it's coming back to you. Go through the court record again and everything. You must find a clue.
Yes, I'll do it straight away.
L'ho già fatto, però va bene così. Non serve a niente. Let's go. Pensavo. Niente. Che schifo. E mo? Ho analizzato praticamente ogni che baha. Un attimo. Non ho esaminato bene questo. Allora, exclusively heavily post following a lecture today you may say Natsume on the later. 3 pagine, even the. Ok. Ma la vera domanda è perché stanno facendo una pozione di veleno? Perché? E niente, anche questi padella. Via. E niente. Allora. Any medical research assistant. No, e nemmeno qui. E allora, il babbo. Ma io non so. Mamma? Che mostro? Che mostro? Vediamo un po'. That's any medical assistant. E fin qui. In altre parole, lei non aveva motivo. Non dobbiamo che lei aveva un motivo per uccidere. Niente. No. Che la giovanotta che la giovanotta non aveva un motivo per uccidere la vittima. No, the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. È arrivato il momento. È arrivato il momento di mostrare questo. E invece no. Oh, ma io... Ah! Io blab. Io blab. Ma tua. La tua tu sei cosa? Boh, ma perché sono così stupido? Non capisco niente. Cosa devo fare io? Perché? Mi domanda e dico. Da quanto sta andando la live? 1 ora e un quarto. Cosa devo fare? In other words, there is no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Ma ho esaminato tutto, siamo sicuri? Proviamo a esaminare meglio la penna. Magari ci sta qualche plot twistino all'interno della penna. No? Ah, ma questa cosa non l'avevo mai analizzata ancora. E che è?
There's a software emblem here, look. But it isn't a Yume University one.
Potete andare a cagare, per favore. Siete veramente dei figli della merda. Siete veramente... come non è qui? Ma che carbo! Ma... Ma tu madre... Ma va. Ma anch'io sono stupido. Se faccio il load senza salvare. Rondo. Allora, via. Adesso salviamo. Pack. Johann Sebastian Beck. Johann Sebastian indietro. Allora. There is a good reason why the defender would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that they did have a motive.
Objection!
No. Allora a quanto pare no. Ma tu madre, per favore. Ah. Ragazzi, bene, live di oggi finisce qui. Sono distrutto, mi voglio ammazzare. Ci vediamo prossimamente in una nuova live. Da S è tutto, buona scisi. Sì, giusto per intendersi. Non ce la faccio più. Ah, non ce la faccio più. Cioè, è il primo caso, ma è più difficile dell'ultimo per me, perché sono stupido. Ciao.